Welcome to the Pelvic Floor Challenge Day 1. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Lisa Gillespie and I'll be your guide over these next 5 days. Just to give you a snippet of my background, I am a nutritious movement certified restorative exercise specialist. I'm a longtime cranial sacral therapist and a soon-to-be somatic experiencing practitioner. Some of the things I'm going to show you over these next 5 days may have you scratching your head a little bit in terms of the relevancy to pelvic floor function, but I want to assure you that it all relates. I take a whole body approach when working with people with pelvic floor issues, and so we're going to be expanding our view of the mobility and strength that influences the strength and the function of the pelvic floor. Today we're going to get started with a calf stretch, and you may be wondering, what in the world do your calves have to do with your pelvic floor? I promise I will connect that in by the end of this video. But for now, let's get started. Come follow along as we take a look at the calf stretch and fine-tune it so that we can evaluate the actual length and yield that's present in your calf muscle. Now, one thing for you to know, your calf muscle crosses your knee joint, or one of them does, your gastrocnemius, crosses your knee joint, and then it attaches at the base of your heel. It joins the Achilles tendon and then attaches at the foot. So what's happening with your ankle and what's happening with your knee both influence the length of your calf muscle. If you are sitting a lot, if you have the habit of standing with a slight bend in your knees all the time because you've been told that's how you should stand, or if you wear shoes that elevate your heel to any extent, I'm not just talking about what we think of as ankle breakers or high heels, but even a lot of or I should say most, of shoes today have an elevated heel, even sneakers. So those are all factors that put the gastrocnemius muscle in a shortened position, and it alters how we walk. So let's take a look at the current state of your calf muscle. So we're going to start by placing the ball of your foot up on an elevated surface, whether that's a book, a rolled up yoga mat, or a half dome, which is what I am using if you happen to have one of those. And then we're going to step forward with the opposite foot. Now I want you to check in and make sure that the heel of your stretching foot is in contact with the floor and that both knees are straight, not bent. So just notice how far forward you can comfortably step, and then we're going to fine tune this a little bit. So I'm going to have you, instead of having your pelvis shifted way forward, I'm going to have you back your pelvis up so that you're stacked over the heel of your back leg. And just notice if you are pushed back or having a difficult time staying upright without clenching and working really, really hard to do so. So what I want you to do, if you're noticing you're not able to maintain your pelvis stacked over your heel comfortably, I want you to back up your standing leg, and then we're going to shift the weight of your pelvis over your standing leg. And just notice, can you comfortably stand balanced without clenching with your pelvis stacked over your standing leg and the ball of your foot up on an elevated surface? And just notice, how far back do you have to step in order to feel reasonably stable with that? And the big key is you're not using your body weight by thrusting the pelvis forward to overpower the tension in your calf muscle, but you're instead evaluating how much length, how much elasticity do you have in your calf muscle when you aren't using your body weight to maintain your stability and overpower the tension in that muscle. Now, ideally, we should be able to step forward and maintain our pelvis over our standing leg. I don't have enough length to do that yet. Let's check your other side. So again, ball of the foot up on the half dome. We're going to step forward. Get yourself situated, and then I'm going to have you back your pelvis up and back your standing leg up as much as you need to so that you can comfortably balance with your pelvis stacked over your back leg. Okay? And just notice, are your toes clenching really hard? If so, back it up a little bit. Are you really gripping with your glutes or gripping with your quads to keep your balance? If so, back it up a little bit. This can be somewhat of an ego challenge, a downer to our ego, shall we say. So we're just doing an experiment. We're just exploring, seeing where our body is right now. It's just gathering information. No judgment, just gathering information. So backing it up, where are you when you aren't using your body weight to overpower the tension? Now we're going to come back to the first side, and this time I'm going to have you fine-tune it just a little bit more by noticing, are your feet straight or are they turned out? And if they're turned out, I want you to get them so that they are facing forward. So ideally, the outside edge of the foot is straight. This means that we're actually stretching what we think we're stretching. When we turn the feet out, we're changing the orientation of the muscle and we're bypassing some of the tension that's there. So when we fine-tune the stretch by looking and evaluating objectively where our parts are in relation to each other, then we know we're stretching what we think we're stretching. Or, in this case, we're evaluating what we think we're evaluating, which is the length of the calf muscle. So, again, you've got the ball of your foot on the elevated surface, heel on the ground, both knees are straight, and the pelvis is backed up over the standing or the back leg. And then we'll change sides. And you'll probably notice each side has a different story to it. We do different things. We are not symmetrical beings. So we use our body very differently left to right, and that will show up in our strength, and that will show up in our mobility. So here we are on the second side. We're adding in the piece of straightening the outside edges of the feet. And then we're also making sure that we're not thrusting the pelvis forward, but rather stacking it over the back leg. And noticing how far back do you have to move your standing leg in order for you to feel stable without clenching your quads or clenching your glutes. So we're really evaluating what length is available to us currently with our calf muscle. So there you have a sense of the length of your calf muscle that is currently available to you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are 3 things that can impact the length of your calf muscle and can contribute to it being in a more shortened state. Those 3 things are elevated heels from shoes. The second thing is the habit of standing with our knees slightly bent. And the third thing is large periods of time spent sitting. So all of those can impact the length of the calf muscle and what you see when you then evaluate. Now I mentioned I would plug this into how in the world is this relevant to the pelvic floor function. So let's take a look at that. The reason why the length of your calf muscle matters to your pelvic floor is that walking is a really, really key component of maintaining pelvic floor function and pelvic floor strength. The reason why walking is so important, one of the reasons for your pelvic floor, is that it helps maintain the strength of the glutes, and the glutes help to stabilize the back of your pelvis, specifically your sacrum, which is a triangular shaped bone that sits between the right and left halves of your pelvis. So when we are walking, ideally our leg is moving back behind us instead of just falling forward with every step we take. Now, in order for our leg to move back behind the pelvis as we walk, so that the glutes engage and the hamstrings engage, we have to, A, have enough length in these muscles for the leg to move back, and we'll get into that in another video. And we also have to have enough length in the calf muscle to be able to maintain the heel down on the ground as the pelvis moves forward. And what often happens is we lack the length to keep the heel down for very long, if at all. It pops right up. So stretching the calf, lengthening the calf muscle, allows for the heel to stay down, which allows for the glutes to be more engaged with every step we take. And keeping the glutes engaged with every step we take helps to maintain the stability of the pelvis, which helps to maintain the length of the pelvic floor muscles that attach to the pelvis. All right, so that is a very long connection from the calf muscle to the pelvic floor. But it's really, really relevant and really important that we have calf muscles that are able to yield enough to stay in contact with the floor as we travel forward with every step that we take. And the longer the heel can stay down, the longer the glutes can engage. The sooner the heel pops up, the more we have lost the interaction of these muscles on our backside to participate with every step we take and to influence and stabilize the pelvic floor. So your homework assignment is to bring calf stretch into your day 3 to 5 times today, whether you're standing talking on the phone, doing dishes is a great time, brushing your teeth is another great time. Ideally, we brush our teeth twice a day. If you have an electronic toothbrush, you can use the timer and get in a couple 30-second calf stretches quite easily on each side. Look for different ways you can incorporate this into your day and help improve the length of your calf muscles. Enjoy, and I'll see you tomorrow.